Hey there. Okay, the purpose of this video is to give you an idea because it's complex enough to where I'll lose it if I don't record it. So, how do we get the network settings off the server that will then be embedding in so many of the scripts within Ansible as it does its work? First thing we really want to do is detect what that server has, grab any gateway IPs along with the interfaces themselves and record it. So this is that process. To start with, we're going to be depositing a lot of our information in directories that don't yet exist on the server. So we've got to start off with creating the directories in symlinks, and we do that here by basically cloning everything in our control machine's SM directory and moving it over there. And one of the things included in that is this file right here called Iface Gateways. And you'll notice by looking at that path, it's located in SM, data drive, scripts, network, and so on. So we deposit that in the other computer because we may want to run this someday just to kind of see what the gateways are very quickly without going through any other commands. But this information is going to be returned to us later. But for now, it just gets deposited there. And one of the things we want to make note of is this word right here, this phrase, replace me. That's actually a placeholder, which is going to be dealt with later. So we're going to close Iface Gateways for now. It's been copied along with every other directory and file over to the new server. Now, the next thing that we're going to do that has to do with networking, we're going to include the networking YML file, which we see right here. It has 3 tasks. One of them is to set the interfaces within that bash script that I showed you a minute ago. And so here's how it does it. It uses the built-in Ansible interfaces fact and parses it for those that are Ethernet, builds an Ifaces array. Down below, we convert that array into a space-separated string. And then we take that space-separated string, and it'll look like, well, like this right here, ETH0, ETH1, and so on. Each one will be kind of a space between. And then we're going to edit this Iface Gateways file that we moved over with all the other files earlier, and we're going to replace that replace me phrase with the Ifaces string, which looks like that. So that's that job of that task. Now we're going to go down here to the second task in the networking file, which is to get the gateways of that server. So let's find that file and have a look at it. To get gateways, runs a shell script, which is in fact that same bash file, but now it has within it the correct names of our interfaces. When it finishes that file, that bash script, let's see if I can give you a peek of that bash script. Okay, this loop right here starts by reading into an array the route n command. So each line is then read into an array, and that, see if I can kind of give you one, just so you have an idea, this is basically what that route command looks like. Now this is a bit extravagant because it has 2 gateways that can come up. It's a more complex scenario, but it basically reads the command reply into an array and then parses it down below. First it starts with the rows, then it starts with the columns, and along the way it compiles a JSON array. It looks for UG in that route, I should say. UG is the indicator that that particular interface is up and that it is in fact a gateway, hence the letter G. And once that's done, creating the JSON string from this material, it'll go ahead and echo it back to us. Okay, here we are. So we're still in get gateways. It's run the script. It's received the standout from the script, and so the gateway standout, we registered that variable up here, is now going to be assigned to a variable called Iface Gateway. So that will contain a JSON string at this point of all of our gateways. And the last thing we're going to do is we're going to convert that JSON string to variables using the JSON to vars YML file. So that file will start off by instantiating up to 4 physical network interfaces. No server is going to have more than that. We're going to at this point, we're only going to use 2. There is no use case for more than 2, but we allow for an array to build more if it defines more. The first thing that we do here is, well, we're going to drop a message out and show what the gateways are going to be, along with the, it's going to append the index and create something called an Iface List. And quite frankly, I didn't create this, so I can't describe exactly how it's doing what it's doing. It seems odd that a message would be incorporated, would be building these variables, but that appears to be what's happening. And then we split some of the JSON code off before. This actually may indeed be where that's happening. Not quite sure, but the magic does happen, and that's where it happens. And we've put the developer, in case we need her, this is her contact information if we need her to maybe interpret that. Probably should do that. Okay, so when it's all said and done, well, we're done with networking at that point. So we've converted it. So the next thing we're going to do is go back to the main. We're going to set up the environment by calling the environment YML file, which is right here. Okay, the environment YML file is going to copy this file, which lives on our local control machine in the globals, etc. So what this is basically, this is exactly what it looks like on the target machine. We keep a consistent copy of that target machine's directory structure on our local so that we can pull over what we need to as we need to. And the destination is going to be in exactly the same place. So let's take a look at that environment file. Now, in case you don't know, any file that sits in this location is automatically parsed by Linux and added to the list of environment variables available throughout the system. Now, I'm going to just deal with the network versions of the things that apply to the network, and that's these 4 right here. So we have interface 0 and 1 are assigned what it has pulled from that file, and gateway 0 and 1 the same thing. And if there is nothing for 1, it'll just be blank from where we instantiated those earlier on. Let's now take a look at the environment, how that looks on the server. The first thing I want to show you, this is the target or remote server. Is if I look into this network directory, you notice the Iface gateways file did end up there, and if I cat the contents of that, you'll notice that the replace me phrase has in fact been replaced by the actual Ethernet interfaces that exist on this machine. It's got EN01 and ETH0, and if I do an ifconfig, you see that confirms that there's the 0, there's the 1. It does not pick up these other ones that are not important to us. So that succeeded. Next thing we're going to do is take a look at the etc. environment D, and we see we do have our environment file that we put in there, and within that we have gateway 1 doesn't exist, and gateway 0 points to 89.1. And if I do a route -n, and by the way, that -n is what gives you the IP addresses as numbers. If I didn't do that and I just did a route without it, it wouldn't give me the IP address that you see here. It would just give me the word gateway. And although that's pingable and would return, we need the numbers for this exercise. So you can see, let me clear that. That is the correct 89.1, we'll cat that again, and we see the 89.1. So we've got an accurate gateway, and we know what interface it lives on. And that's going to help us with the firewall and other things we've got going on. So that's how this comes together, and all those things that then pull from the environment will have what they need. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.